Welcome to Color Country Politics, where we discuss all the important political issues facing Iron County, Utah. Our guests include elected officials and community leaders in or representing Iron County. This is episode 44, City, State, Not Zip.
And welcome back to Color Country Politics. I'm Jennie Hendricks.
I'm Jesse Harris.
And we are thrilled to have Cedar City Mayor Maile Wilson-Edwards with us today. Thank you so much for coming in.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you both for hosting me.
Yeah, we're thrilled that you were able to find time being mayor and an attorney and with a brand new baby. So cute.
Yes. That proud mom thing, it is true. But a proud mom with no sleep is even more true.
No, I remember those days for sure. For sure. Well, thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it. So before we kind of get into our agenda, what we wanted to talk about, just give us a little bit of history, how you got here, sort of what are your goals and dreams and visions for the city?
For the city?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I am in my 7th year, which seems crazy how fast time has gone by. And it's been very interesting because my personal life has grown right along with the mayor life between getting married and having a child. I don't necessarily think we've ever had that happen in our city. So
no, I imagine not.
So it's been quite interesting to kind of have the personal life grow in front of the community as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I did my schooling, my undergrad and master's here at SUU. I'm born and raised here in Cedar City. And then I went away from law school, came back, and I knew I always wanted to be involved in the community. Mm. And the opportunity arose to run for mayor right at the same time I was taking the bar exam to be a licensed attorney.
Okay.
Oh.
So I took the bar exam a week before the primary election.
Oh my gosh.
And was sworn in a week before the general election. So I've been fortunate to be able to do both pretty much the entire time. I don't really know one without the other.
Right.
And now we've factored in the most important part of raising my little McKinley, and that added she was born on election day, so that added a whole new meaning to elections, where being in politics, your whole world is focused around elections, and now it was focused around her and an election.
That's so great.
Yes.
That's really awesome.
I truly cannot speak more about how much I love the opportunity that I've had to serve not only one term, but now 2 years, and we're in the 3rd year of this 2nd term, and just work for our community and for the residents.
That's great. Thank you. We appreciate that. Well, give us a little bit of background on, you had your State of the City at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast.
Yes.
Was that yesterday morning?
Yes.
Time flies. Okay. Yeah. It was just yesterday. All right. So, I thought that the statistics and the information you had was just so fabulous. So do you want to just kind of take us through where the city is right now and kind of, what your plans are and where we're going?
Yes, I will be happy to. I do have some of the facts and statistics, so I actually give you accurate information, and I don't just make it up.
I'm a statistics junkie, so that's perfect.
Yes, and I like to give people correct information. It makes things a lot better. Over the past few years, and this tends to happen with all government tends to be really quite reactive, which in some cases that's very necessary. And in other cases, it would be great if government could be substantially more proactive. One of the main directions this year is kind of being proactively focused. We have with this new election, we have a new city council member. We had actually we had the 3 seats that were up. 2 individuals were reelected, and we have 1 new. And so we really have a chance to come together and to start out fresh and really get on a clear direction for how to help our city grow and continue to prosper into the future. With that, I don't know if the audience has been there, but one complaint we've had is with changing the general plan, with zoning, with all of these different issues that come up from time to time, especially when you have a good economy and developments happening. We have set and actually have contracted to have our general plan, sometimes referred to as a master plan, have that updated. Get the community input and really work with our citizens, with the staff, with our elected officials, with everybody to say, what do we want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years? Because those plans, I mean, long range, that help set the direction, but get them updated to more clearly reflect what's going on today, because it's a different economy and a different world than when it was done before.
Exactly.
When I first got into office, we had never had a strategic plan, which absolutely shocked me. We have our strategic plan. Another part of this direction of being focused this year is updating the strategic plan, working with the elected, with our public again, and getting that clear vision and clear direction so that when we have our city council meetings, when issues come before the city, we can say, this is something that fits within where we want to go, instead of just being all over the board and not having a clear direction.
Yeah, that's great.
You hear those complaints frequently in city council meetings too, of everyone saying, well, you're making the zoning change, I have no idea why. And with having that clear vision, someone can buy a house and be like, I know exactly what's happening around me.
Yeah,
exactly.
And right now, I mean, we have our land use plan, we have all these plans, but we want to make sure that when they were done, that was a number of years ago, that still is what makes the most sense for our community where we are today and where we're going in the future. There's been a lot of community input with the Vision 2050, with the chamber. There's been the ASOP study that our economic development team has been working on. So there's all of these different avenues that the community's been involved with. And instead of doing what so often happens, and you get these plans and they look really pretty and they go on a shelf and maybe somebody looks at them, the real direction from like my office and going down is, let's incorporate all these for budgeting, for direction, for meetings, for everything. I want it tied back to a direction that we have all agreed on so that we're not wasting time and we're actually achieving and accomplishing things that the community and all of us want to see moved forward.
I love that so much, because I know that that Chris McCormick at the Chamber has been working so hard for, I think, 2 years on Vision 2050. And there's been so much community input. I mean, I know you and I sat in several meetings together.
Yes.
Where, there's been focus groups. And the thing that I loved about that is he had people come in that were from outside of the community who have that particular area of expertise, leading people who are from the community, asking the right questions, getting the answers that are really vetted through our community as to what we collectively want to be, where we want to go, how we want to grow. And then the ASAP study, I was thrilled to be a part of that, and the economic piece is just huge. I can't wait to hear your economic stats when we get there. But it's so exciting to have the mayor recognize the value of the community and input and where we want to go, and actually say, yeah, we're going to use these because it has been vetted through the community. It's just a thrill, I think.
Yes. I mean, it's not, the community long term is not just what I want to see. This is not my community. This is our community. And so the most important thing is I represent each and every one of our residents, and knowing that is my role, and that their input and their opinions as to what we want to be, that's who we need to be reaching out to. And so really, as we continue, it's obviously we still have to be reactive to some situations, but how can we be more proactive in a more proactive government to address things before they're a big crisis,
fabulous.
And while we have the time and resources and can dedicate staff and our community to all these different issues and
I'm
ideas.
really excited to see that come together. That's great.
Yes. So it's going to be a year of really working on having plans, but this also, at the flip side, it requires the community and the public to be willing to be engaged and involved as well.
So what can the public do to be engaged and involved and make sure that what they want to have happen can be considered and reflected in this?
So we will have town hall meetings. The way I envision it, and mind you, we are just in the formalizing contracts and all that, but like last time with our strategic plan, we get a kind of a template so you have a starting point. Because without a starting point, it's chaos.
Yeah.
And then we do a website so you can do comments. So the individuals that can't make it have a forum that they can give us their feedback. We did comment boxes. We did town hall meetings. All of these different, trying to connect social media, every different type of avenue where we can try to get people to reach out and give us some feedback. That's what we're going to be doing and how I envision these processes moving forward.
That's great. And that's going to happen this year.
Yes.
Going forward. Fabulous.
And it will be between the city website, my newsletter, all of these will be ways that we try to advertise and get the word out. And I'm sure maybe by then I can convince you guys to let me come on again and we can talk about where we are in the process.
That'd be great.
Our mic's open.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That'd be wonderful.
So if we'll keep that in mind,
Okay,
and I just
you got
scheduled myself
You
to
got
come back.
that. Anytime. You got it. So, all right, you guys keep watching. We're going to have Mayor Wilson-Edwards back. She's going to give you all the lowdown. So let's turn to some of the state of the city
Yes.
stuff that you have been talking about, because like I say, this is really interesting to me. So just kind of take us through, sort of what you were talking about at the chamber breakfast the other day.
So the state of the city, it started out, there's a few questions that I get asked all the time. How big is Cedar? When are we getting a Costco? The answer is not yet. I don't know. But just kind of the basics. How is the city doing? Where are we? And that's really what I want to get across. And some of these, as we were pulling the statistics, there was information, and I live this world day in and day out, and I was still shocked. So right now, our population is up. We're at 33,055 residents. We are up 14.5% in the past 10 years.
Wow.
And we're the 28th largest city in Utah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I found that. And our median age is 26.5.
See, that blew
years
me
old.
away. That absolutely blew me away.
I mean, I know we have a lot of college students here, but I didn't think it was that many.
Well,
That makes me feel
and
really
it's
old.
part of people like you and myself that just barely had little ones in
Keep having
November.
those
Yeah.
babies.
That helps bring that median age down quite a
Wow.
bit.
That's crazy.
I will give a plug right here. I did it at the chamber one as well. The census is coming up this year. That impacts funding, that impacts our representation, everything. And so please actually take the census seriously, because all of these numbers and actually funding for some of the others, things that we'll talk about later, ties back to participation in the census.
That's good to know.
You
Sounds
can
good
do it
to know.
online this year too, right?
And we're trying, I think they're trying to make it simpler. The whole rollout of everything hasn't happened yet, so I don't know all of the details, but it will be coming out in the near future.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And our city representative that I kind of helped put on that is Scott Phillips.
Oh, okay.
So-
Fantastic.
So I will commit Scott to come and visit you guys as well.
That, you know what? We would love to have him on. That would be great. Okay, I'll get with Scott and we'll schedule it. That's perfect.
So this past year, some of the projects we did, if you drive down Main Street during Christmas time, you couldn't, there's no way you could have missed the beautiful Christmas light display. Our old lights had seen much better days. Were falling apart. They were duct taped. They were every possible way, to the point where it just wasn't safe anymore.
Right.
And so we redid that and wanted to make ourselves, my view is, if we view ourselves as a first class, nice community, others will look at us that same way.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to do something, I think we need to do it right the first time. And that was my approach with the Christmas lights.
Oh, I think the feedback on that was just fantastic.
I don't know anyone who wasn't just floored by how amazing it was.
Yeah.
My mom was in from out of town during Christmas, and after I picked her up from the airport, I said, "You got to go see these lights." And I mean, her jaw just dropped as soon as we turned the corner.
Yeah, it was amazing. No, and I think that's part of part of that downtown kind of focus too.
Mhm.
Is it would be great if we could do everything all at once. But you're right. If you're going to do something, commit to it and do it right. And that was spot on.
We had set
Spot
money
on.
aside for a number of years to budget so that we could, knowing that this was coming up and
Mhm.
something that needed to be done, but instead of kind of piecemealing it and doing it so our community wouldn't have the pride,
Yeah.
I would rather have waited a couple of years, got the money all budgeted, and been able to have done it
Oh, it was
right.
fabulous.
And I think
Yeah.
the community appreciated
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah, save up for
Every
stuff.
every bit of feedback I heard was so positive. Just really, really
We
great.
also finished our animal adoption shelter. It has been if you agree with wanting animals, not wanting animals, it has made it so that our animal welfare is at a level that it should be for
Right.
a community of our size.
Mhm.
For the first time in as long as I can remember, we've actually adopted out all of the dogs.
Wow.
There are,
Wow.
I think there are more now, but they hit the level they said we've never done that.
Wow.
We have volunteers in and out of that building
Mhm.
every single day. It's a place
That's
where there are people that want to just go and spend time with the animals,
Okay.
that want to go and be involved. We've never had that before with the
Wow.
old facility that
Mhm.
was built as a cold storage building, never meant to be an animal,
Yeah.
that we kind of piecemealed together.
All the value was wrung right out of it.
Right.
Yes. And so we finally have some place that will last our community again for 20, 30, 40 years
Mhm.
into the future and can take care of that need so we don't need to readdress it, which is nice.
That is nice. It's a beautiful facility. And I know the staff over there just works their tails off with those animals. They do a great job.
And they do, and it ultimately betters our community because you don't have stray animals
Mhm.
running around that could
Mhm.
injure people, they could get injured themselves. It just makes it a better place
Yeah.
to live.
No, that's great.
Yeah. Especially
wonderful.
stray cats. They are such a menace to our bird population.
Mm.
Yes, and so we have cat rooms out there, we have every different thing to try to handle these. And even more exciting, we are officially a no-kill shelter.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
That is
So,
amazing. That's
That
very
is a
cool.
huge accomplishment
Yeah.
for a community to get to that level.
It really is. And I think that that's another thing this community can kind of take pride in is to reach the level of being a no-kill. That's cool. I really think
Yes.
that reflects well in this
Yeah,
population.
that's putting on the big boy pants.
Exactly.
So those are a couple of some big things we accomplished last year. Now we get into some fun things we have coming up. So major events. We have had the Tour of Utah a number of years.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, newsflash, we're not getting the Tour of Utah this year.
Oh man.
But
Okay.
just wait.
There's more.
So
Okay.
we have the USA Cycling Master Road National Championship. We have them
Wow.
committed for the next 2 years.
Wow.
They compete for the Stars and Stripe jersey. So they national pride,
Okay.
the American pride with these athletes to have the chance to win and wear the Stars and Stripes jersey
Wow.
that they will compete for right here.
Okay.
And we have that committed for 2 years. It will be between 1,000 and 2,000 riders.
Oh my gosh.
And it is a huge deal. Probably
Yeah.
about 1,000 athletes will come and compete in that one.
Wow. Okay.
And that will be the end of July, beginning of August for this next year.
So make sure you have your hotel reservation booked early.
Right.
The next one is an kind of exciting. It's called the Belgian Waffle 2020 Ride. And it is a gravel course.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a 130-mile gravel ride.
Wow.
These people are incredible athletes because I
Right.
could probably go like half a mile.
Right.
And it will be 1,200, 1,400 athletes.
Wow.
And it is the kind of the premier gravel race in the nation. And we've landed that one as well.
That's fabulous.
So those
How
are
fun.
2 big national events. And then you get down to when we hired our event director, a big push I had was, I want more than just the big flashy events. I want things for our community, but I also think we need some diversity. So you look at the half marathon, they increased that by 100 riders, and there was a 15% increase in hotel occupancy and everything while that was here.
Okay.
There was, let me get back to, yes, I have some of this, so I told you I could get correct statistics. We have the, you have that one. You had the slow roll. I don't know if any of you participated in that. That was just community bike ride.
Yeah.
So
Right
it
around
did
the
not
university.
matter.
That was
We
fun.
did it at different locations.
Okay.
200 plus participants for each of them.
That's wonderful.
And it just made it so that families, elderly, people in good shape that were riders, everybody had a safe, fun place to go out. We had scooters, we had bikes, we had strollers, everything in between to just go participate.
That's great.
This year in March, which is downtime for Cedar, we have a cheerleading competition with over 500 cheerleaders coming.
Oh, that's fun.
And for the next 2 years, and it will be different when they actually come, but in May, which is also typically one of our slower times, we have a dance competition coming with over 700 dancers.
Wow.
Which, with cheerleading, with dancing, those are bringing families.
That's right.
That's a slower time that's bringing all sorts of different people to come and stay in our community. And our dance competition is already rebooked for next year as well.
No kidding.
Wow.
So
that's fantastic.
we are doing a lot of different things to try to get heads in beds of not just your traditional events, not always the big flashy ones, but things that we hope will have an impact on our community.
That's great.
I guess it's good we got the Airbnb thing sorted out.
Right.
Thanks for that. So now with that, we're going to just go back and change directions.
And shifting gears.
Shifting gears. So that's a few fun things for the community to look forward to. There will continue to be different events. I mean, at Christmas, we had the Christmas tree decorating competition. So we're trying to just do all sorts of different fun things and ways to keep the community engaged and excited and at low costs for families to be able to be involved and participate.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of turn to the economy, what's happening with the city. I see you've got some things on some city major projects that are happening.
Yes. So one of the major ones that I want to make sure everyone is aware of, because if you travel in and out of Cedar, especially at the airport, our major runway will be down for construction. We were slated to have this happen last year until St. George's was an emergency and we got bumped back a year with safety and aeronautics. I get it.
Yeah.
They needed to address their problem.
Yeah.
But this means this year ours is going to have the major rebuild.
Okay.
A long time ago, it was always thought we needed a longer runway. When I first got into office, that was all the talk is. Our runway has to be longer to be able to bring in commercial aircraft. Well, as aircraft has gotten more efficient, it's not necessarily that we need the length, but we need it stronger.
Okay.
And so we flew to Denver, we met with the FAA, we got them to buy off on this kind of change of thought of instead of having to acquire property to lengthen the runway to do all that, we're going to strengthen it. We're going to do some other work alongside of this, and our runway will be shut down starting in March.
Oh, wow. That's coming right up.
Yes,
Okay.
so it's coming right up. They're going to work as fast as they can to get this done. But the very interesting part with the airport is while St. George was shut down, and I will attribute a lot of this to St. George, our average growth at the airport has been 6%.
Holy cow.
Last year, our enplanements grew 86%.
No kidding?
Wow.
So that just shows the potential that we
Right.
have here to have more individuals in and out and continue to improve that facility for our residents, for visitors. I mean, it can be a major economic hub with that much potential
Right.
growth that's out there.
I got to say on that topic, for years and years when I first moved to Cedar City, we would drive to Las Vegas and fly out of Las Vegas. And then, we kind of checked into it. Like, you have no idea how convenient it is to fly out of Cedar City if you can. And in the trips that I have booked, it has not added a lot of cost to the full trip. So right now you fly out of Cedar City to Salt Lake and make your connection. It's so convenient. They don't charge for parking.
We don't charge for parking.
Mhm.
The lines are not long with TSA.
No,
Our
it's-
TSA agents are super friendly.
Yep.
Mhm.
Our airport staff is phenomenal.
It's great.
And
It's great.
you can get in, you can get out without the added time.
Yeah.
Our flights tend to be substantially cheaper than St. George.
Yeah.
And so it is a very good option for
Yeah.
people to use and utilize. I mean, and in fact, our airport's the 4th busiest airport in the state.
That's amazing, is it
Wow.
really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
And so think about with the potential we have and with all of that, continue to do to make travel in and out of
That's
Cedar
great.
easier for everyone involved.
Yeah. I know there's been a couple of times when both my kids are up in Salt Lake and I wanted one of them here for whatever reason. And so I've flown them here. I mean, it was tremendously affordable. Just
Yes.
and convenient. I mean, I can't say enough about how great it is to have our own little airport here, growing. I probably shouldn't call it little, but just so convenient and relatively affordable, I think, if you really start to look into it. So that's great.
And that kind of growth speaks to we might be able to add flights to even more destinations.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and those are things we're looking at. We're working with airlines, we're working with the FAA. This runway project can open up some different possibilities. Another exciting thing, and this is, for me, really exciting. There are times where if private sector can do something better, I think the government should step out of the way and allow them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
If you look around, we have fiber going in all throughout town.
So stoked.
To homes, which does not require the city to try to figure out something that they don't have a clue what they're doing,
Right.
to add staff, to add cost, to use taxpayer money for something that our private businesses are doing.
So fabulous. In fact, we're going to try and get SC Broadband on the podcast to talk about that too. But so exciting.
And
Yeah.
it is somebody said, so what's the city having to subsidize them to do this? And I said, absolutely nothing.
Not a thing.
The company
Isn't
is
that
doing a
amazing?
multi-million-dollar investment in our community
Mhm.
without the city and without taxpayer dollars being spent
Huge.
at all, which is a major
Well,
plus.
especially because TDS is feeling that they have slashed their prices almost to a third of what they used to be in response because
So
they're terrified of the
building
competition.
Mhm.
which is the other beautiful thing is when private companies can do this and it breeds competition and it benefits everyone. So the residents that want this service can have it. It's not forced upon them by the government.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it will end up being a great thing for our community.
Yeah. And again, very affordable. I think if you sign up now, now meaning, the next several months, it's $45.
$45 a month, and then it will go to $65 next year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm looking at Jesse because he's our resident tech guy. He's super excited.
Yeah, I've been in the broadband policy space for like 13 years, so I mean, I nerd out on this kind of stuff. And, seeing a user-owned cooperative pulling it off is the thing that's most exciting to me.
yes, so
We're
government
thrilled
not
about
trying to screw up something that we know
Right.
nothing about. I was
No, it's
thrilled
beautiful.
about it.
That is beautiful.
So with that, can we flip to the economy?
Absolutely.
And we can kind of,
Yeah.
let's
because
do.
this will actually hopefully spur some of these different economic opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's been one thing that we've talked about for years is if we have this broadband, maybe we can start getting some different telecommuting
Yeah.
jobs and everything.
I'm one of them.
In my other world, I am too most days. So so the economic statistics I'm going to give are for the entire county. We don't have them based just on Cedar.
Mhm.
They come from workforce services, so they do them by the county.
Mhm.
Iron County is one of the fastest growing labor markets in Utah over this past year.
Wow.
That is, and people wonder how that can be true. It's based on population and all of that.
Mhm.
So it ends up that when you look at our population and job growth, we're one of the very fastest. And within the past year, we've had a 6.5% job growth increase with non-farm year-to-year increase. The state of Utah, in comparison, was 2.7%.
Wow.
So we are growing substantially faster with these year-over-year jobs.
That's
Not
crazy.
not just compared to the state, but compared to population growth. That's more jobs than people moving in.
Yes, and when you look even at the nation's 1.5%.
No kidding.
So
Wow.
now there is a flip side to that.
Yeah.
This is part of the flip side. When you look at unemployment for anyone that's trying to hire, our unemployment is 2.5, which in one sense, that is incredible because if somebody wants a job, pretty much you can get a job right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to hire, it makes it
tough.
really
It is
tough.
Yeah.
And that is something we've heard, we've experienced firsthand with the city.
Mhm.
And I think everyone that's trying to hire is kind of feeling that pinch for the low unemployment. We would rather have our residents employed, so
Sure.
I'm not going to complain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But those trying to hire, it is going to be
No,
harder.
I can testify it's tough. Which is a good problem to have, I guess, from the
Yes.
perspective of the city. So
Yeah.
This is one where I bring it up every time. It's a lot of people in politics probably wouldn't because this is some of the good, bad, and ugly. And it's not a problem that government can fix. It's a problem that it's going to take all of us to fix. And a lot of it is going to take the private sector to help us fix. When you look at our annual monthly wages,
Mm-hmm.
the rhetoric out there is the wages in Iron County and in Cedar City are bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've all heard that
Yeah.
rhetoric.
Yeah.
I'll give you some actual facts. We are at the end of the third quarter for 2019, 68% of the average state wage.
wow.
And so the rhetoric is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Government can't fix it. Private sector is going to have to help with some of these. The highest, the industries with the highest wages are financial,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
which is that manufacturing, government, and when you think of government, it's between the university, the school district,
Okay.
Fish and Wild, all of the different governmental agencies.
Okay.
It's not Cedar City Corp.
Right.
Yeah.
And education, health, and social services.
Mm-hmm.
So when people hear that we talk about as a city that we're trying to recruit manufacturing, and we get, well, why do you keep trying to recruit manufacturing? Well, when you look at average wages, they're the second highest for our average monthly wages.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get manufacturing companies here that employ a lot of people and pay decent
And pay well.
wages,
Yeah.
then that
Yeah.
helps everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But to help lower this giant divide, it will take all of us working together and all of us realizing that in order to have a community where our families, our children, those that have grown up here, those that want to live here can have a good quality
Yes.
life, it's going to take us working together to increase
Mhm.
wages.
Well, and I hear what you're saying when you say, it's not necessarily popular for a politician to talk about the bad and the ugly side of things, but if you don't talk about it, it's not going to get fixed. If we're not having those conversations, people aren't aware of the problem. And just like you said, this is something where we're all going to have to work together. The community is going to have to pull together. The employers are going to have to pull together. And you're absolutely right. Attracting new employers that are paying higher wages is that, kind of rising tide lifts all boats concept. I also love the fact, and I've seen this, that the city has also focused on local businesses that are already here.
Yes.
Let's help our own people at the same time we're trying to attract new people. We can do all of that at once.
And we have found with economic development, if we can keep a company here, one, we know they're a good fit. We know they're committed to the community, that they're not just going to come here. We're not like some states where everything's pre-performance, you get a bunch of money up front, then after a couple of years, you jump ship and go somewhere else. So that is one very positive thing, I think. But sometimes you don't know when a company's looking at coming in, they're actually going to be a good fit for the community. Well, those who have stuck with our community through the good times, through the bad, through ups, through downs, they're committed. Their families are committed. Their employees are committed. We want them to succeed here. And they're part of our Cedar City family. And so what we can do to help them succeed, to me, is just as important as bringing in new individuals.
100%.
And you could see that with Decor Works when we worked with them. I mean, their facility, their building, their expansion of employees, all of that just goes to show that we can work together to help rise up and lift up these companies.
No, it's beautiful. I love that whole concept of, with the fiber and bringing in new companies and the manufacturing, and then the focus on growing the companies that are already invested and committed to this community. I get really excited about it.
One of my favorite things is we do business visits. So the city manager, economic development director, will actually go to a business and say, show us around. Tell us what your problems are. What can we are there problems that we can help you solve? Are there different things that, you're not necessarily going to try to track us down, but let's come to you and see what we can do to make your life easier to do business in Cedar City.
That's fabulous.
Speaking to being proactive.
Yes. Anything we can do to be proactive. Some others are cost of living. We also hear, and this is throughout the state, is that cost of living is quite high. For the national benchmark of 100%, our Cedar City overall cost of living for 2019 was 89.3%. That is high. The exciting part is that is down from 91.16% in 2008. So our cost of living is slightly going down. The highest of all of our categories, which are grocery, transportation, housing, utilities, healthcare, goods and services, was transportation. And a lot of that is due to gas prices.
Okay. That is interesting.
The actual lowest one was housing at 76.4%.
That's really interesting because, I hear a lot about housing attainability, housing affordability. That's sort of the space that I live in. So our median sales price right now is $233,000, which is slightly higher than the median wage, as far as where we would like to see that. But it's that gap is not as high as it is in larger metropolitan areas like the Wasatch Front, where their wage gap between what their median income can afford and the median sales price it's getting larger at a faster rate than ours is getting larger. Does that make sense?
They're running out of space to build up there.
And they're running out of space to build. Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm really excited to see this year is we've got a number of new subdivisions going in, which is really going to help one of our biggest issues right now is the lack of housing inventory. We're really, really low on inventory. So if we can get some of these really nice subdivisions coming in, and they're in all price ranges too.
And that's some of the nice thing is in other areas, you have really, really high-end housing or very not great housing. We're trying to have across the board. So all different demographics, all different price ranges, all of that. But the hard thing is housing is still really expensive here compared to our wages.
Yes.
And so the more we can do to help get some of those wages, then people can get a house and still have money to enjoy the other beautiful amenities that make Cedar City
Yeah.
the place that we all know and love.
Exactly. And again, to your point earlier about, a lot of this is going to have to be fixed by the private sector. The government, and specifically the city, can help with zoning and land use and general plans and that sort of thing. But housing costs kind of are what they are. Lumber costs what it costs. Land costs what it costs. And I think you talk to a lot of people who own homes who have enjoyed that increase in equity as prices have gone up. Well, no one wants to lose their equity, but the other piece of housing affordability is those rising wages.
Yes.
So if people are making more money, then that creates a more affordable situation. So it's sort of a whole, concept that we've got to address universally.
And you don't want the government to get in the business of trying to dictate wages or trying to dictate housing costs or having to dictate any of those types of things. We want to be here to help support, to help be an advocate, to be an asset, to do everything we can to make this city the place that we want to live and not get in the way of the private sector doing these natural things that we need done to help our community.
Yeah. There's legislation, I don't think it's going to pass, but in the session right now that has to do with rent control. I'm like, this is Utah. You can't do that in Utah.
Well,
it's quite scary.
Whenever you get people like Paul Krugman and Thomas Sowell both agreeing that rent control is bad, that's when you step back and say, maybe we shouldn't do this.
That's great. So I really, really support your point. I like that government has its role, and government is good at a certain small number of things, and then the private sector is really where the focus should be on solving these issues.
Great at sewer, at water treatment plants, at roads, utilities, at all of those things. We are great to make sure when you turn on your faucet, water comes out. When you flush your toilet, you don't have to think about it again. But there is a lot of areas that we don't need to be in, and I don't think we should be in, and that is some of these different, but we can make it so it's easy for others that want to be the entrepreneurs, that want to be involved, to go forward and move forward.
Exactly. And again, I think having that conversation and just talking about it helps to sort of set the tone and attract those really cool things that we want to have in Cedar City.
Yes.
That's
so
great.
we are on a great path. We are on a great trajectory here in the community. Our departments are all insanely busy with doing their different activities and continuing to provide our services for our residents. And so things are looking up, and we should go into this with another great year here in Cedar City.
That's wonderful. Well, we'll schedule you to come back and talk about the general plan as it comes out, and how we can get the community involved in that. I'm really, really excited about that. I really am.
So, general plan, our strategic plan, all of these different ways that we can proactively work to make our community a better place.
I love it. Well, I think that's a fantastic place to end, on our community being better.
Thank you.
Mayor Maile Wilson-Edwards, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you both for the time and for having me.
Yeah, we'll have you back.
Very glad to.
This has been Color Country Politics, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Color Country Politics, a production in cooperation with Utah Politico Hub and graciously sponsored by Century 21 Prestige Realty at 121 North Main Street, Cedar City. Special thanks to Amoeba Crew for use of their song Background Indie Rock, licensed under Creative Commons. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever fine podcasts are found. Also, check out our YouTube channel where we post video of our interviews. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website at www.colorcountrypolitics.com.